Hey, welcome back to the Cybersecurity Whisperer for the week of February 2nd. Hope you had a great week. We certainly have lots to talk about, and we will get to DeepSeek, but I want to cover a few other important stories first. And the first is with iPhone users. Like any Internet of Thing, you need to make sure that have your auto updates on, that you're patching your devices. This week, iPhone users were targeted in Apple's first zero-day exploit of 2025. Now, this was a privilege escalation in the zero-day of a use after free vulnerability that affected Apple's core media framework. And so a malicious application may have been able to elevate privileges. And Apple said this may have been actively exploited against versions of iOS before 17.2. So check your iPhones, your iPads, and make sure that you're on the most recent version and that you're at least on 17.2. Now, we talk about cybersecurity and how it can actually affect patient lives in the healthcare setting. This week, an advisory came out from the U.S. federal government that attackers could gain control of two flawed patient monitors. And so, again, patients are being advised to sever their health monitor's connection to the internet for these two brands of patient monitors that could allow remote attackers to take control of potentially thousands of devices at once. And they could manipulate the vulnerable monitors in many ways, from shutting down the device to stealing patient information. Now, simultaneous exploitation of all vulnerable devices on a shared network is possible. And the Food and Drug Administration said, in fact, that the two brands of patient monitors are the Contec CMS 8000 and the Epsimed MN120. Now, the Epsimed monitors, they're just Contec CMS 8000 monitors that have been relabeled as an MN120. And they're both used in healthcare and home settings for displaying vital patient information, patient temperature, heart rate, blood pressure, and they contain 3 vulnerabilities that could put patients at risk after being connected to the internet. These vulnerabilities will allow these unauthorized actors to bypass security controls, gain access, and potentially manipulate devices. Thankfully, the FDA said they're not aware of any incidents, injuries, or deaths yet, but they do recommend that patients and caregivers that are using these unplug the Ethernet cable if you've got them hardwired in, or disable the wireless or cellular capabilities so that the patient vital signs are only viewable in the physical presence of a patient. Unfortunately, if you can't disable the wireless capabilities, you really just need to unplug the device and stop using it. Now, this is going to be a common theme. The affected monitors are manufactured in China, but they're deployed worldwide. So again, a lot of times we want technology that's cheap, and oftentimes when it's cheap, there's going to be backdoors and things. The security is not going to be considered in it because of the cost. Moving on, there's a new ransomware group called Funksec, and they're quickly gaining traction. Some reports from December showed a newcomer to the ransomware as a service, the RAS landscape, quickly climbing the ranks. This group was Funksec, and they appear to be leveraging, go figure, generative AI in their malware development, and their founders are tied to hacktivist activities. So they were responsible for 103 out of the 578 ransomware attacks that tracked by a NCC group in December, putting it at the top spot with 18%, higher than much more established groups such as Clop or Ransom Hub or others. And so the Checkpoint researchers, they believe that the creators are not very experienced in malware development, and they had their cyber criminal beginnings in hacktivism that's still visible in their other tools. Findings indicate that the development of the group's tools, including the encryptor, were likely AI assisted, which may have contributed to their rapid iteration despite the author's apparent lack of technical expertise. And so again, the ransomware program that's used by Funksec, it's written in Rust, and it was first uploaded to VirusTotal, which is what they all do, by its creator in an attempt to boast about its low detection rate. This allowed the researchers to find and analyze multiple variants of the program that were all uploaded to VirusTotal. Moreover, while some versions had a ransomware node identifying the group as Funksec, others had an alternative ransom node attributing the attack to an outfit called Ghost Algeria. Now, the ransomware program attempts to gain elevated privileges using known techniques from PowerShell scripts, and then it proceeds to disable Windows Defender real-time protection, security event logging on the system, application event logging. It then removes restrictions placed on PowerShell execution, and finally, it deletes your volume shadow copies to prevent you from using a system restore. The program then attempts to kill a long list of processes associated with a variety of programs, including browsers, video players, messaging applications, Windows services, and this ensures that access to potentially important files that will be subsequently encrypted is not locked out by those applications. It's very, very well written in terms of at least going through that checklist. Now, according to researchers, that the malware code, which is part of which was also uploaded to VirusTotal by its author for some reason, uses many redundant call functions and repeating control flow. And so the code also has comments in perfect English, a sign that the author likely used, again, an LLM to help write it. So we've always said anything used for good will be used against you. And so while AI can be great, obviously it's going to be used by the bad guys as well. Now we get to the topic of the day, DeepSeek. And we'll start with multiple different angles. But first, Apple researchers revealed the secret sauce behind DeepSeek AI. Now this, the artificial intelligence market and the entire stock market was rocked this week by the sudden popularity of DeepSeek, the open source large language model developed by a Chinese-based hedge fund. And let me tell you, they call it R1. R1's success highlights a sea change in AI that could empower smaller labs and researchers to create competitive models and diversify the field of available options. Now, why does DeepSeek work so well? It turns out it's a broad approach within deep learning forms of artificial intelligence. It squeezes more out of computer chips by exploiting a phenomenon known as sparsity. Now, sparsity comes in many forms. Sometimes it involves eliminating parts of the data that AI uses when that data doesn't materially affect the output of the model. And so that's kind of how DeepSeek works. Now, this has the tech industry just so excited at its potential impact. And as such, shares of U.S. technology mainstream, they just plummeted on Monday. Now, again, DeepSeek released its R1 model on January 20th, touting its performance on par with OpenAI. And R1 rocketed to become the top downloaded app on the Apple Store, surpassing OpenAI's ChatGPT. And it occupies an upper tier position on the chatbot arena, which is the AI benchmarking ranker. Now, in an interesting twist, for unknown reasons, DeepSeek warned users late Monday that it was the target of a large-scale malicious attack, leading to a slowdown in signups, registrations, being busy, please wait and try again messages. Now, whether that was an attack or just they didn't have the infrastructure is yet to be seen. But what's really rattling investors who sent the NASDAQ composite down 3% and the value of AI chip designer NVIDIA down more than 15% is how much DeepSeek says it costs to develop the model, $5.6 million, compared to the hundreds of millions required, by AI companies. Look at Anthropic CEO. They said, their model cost $100 million, but said models under development would rack up costs of $1 billion. There was another venture capitalist, Mark Andreessen, he talked about R1 as one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs he's ever seen. Now, DeepSeek says it trained via a large-scale reinforcement learning without supervised fine-tuning as a preliminary step. Now, that approach allows the model to explore chains of thought for solving complex problems, making it the first open model to find that large language model reasoning can be incentivized just through reinforcement learning and without supervised fine-tuning. So, the cost efficiency is striking given the U.S. sanctions prohibiting the sale of advanced chips to Chinese entities. So, DeepSeek in December, they said in a paper that it only needed a fraction of the computing power to train the model, of which RN is a refinement. The company said it used a cluster of 2,048 NVIDIA Model H800 chips. Now, NVIDIA, they conceived the H800 chips in 2023 as a sanctions-compliant version of its 8100 flagship chip. And their executives told Reuters that Chinese technology firms such as Alibaba, Baidu, and Tencent deployed the H800 into their cloud computing offerings. Now, some industry analysts, they're skeptical about DeepSeek's publicity over the cost, and they're saying that the training costs were really unknown and they were higher than the $5.6 million. Yeah, we don't know. Now, overall, DeepSeek's advancements, they're going to benefit the tech industry. if training models get cheaper, faster, and easier, the demand for actual real-world use of AI will grow and accelerate even faster, which it'll be good. You talk about the Meta chief AI scientist. He urged the industry to look beyond the geopolitical framing. It talks about the rising power of open source innovation over proprietary models. DeepSeek has profited from open research and open source. They came up with new ideas and they built them on top of other people's work because their work is published in open source, so everybody can profit from it. Now, OpenAI and Microsoft are investigating whether DeepSeek stole information from OpenAI through an API. And so researchers from Microsoft, which is OpenAI's largest investor, they say individuals believe they may be linked to DeepSeek exfiltrating a large amount of data last fall. Now, with speed to market of any company comes security problems, and sure enough, DeepSeek, their AI database was exposed, and they leaked over 1 million log lines. So this was also just exposed, and malicious actors, could have gained access to sensitive data. The ClickHouse database, it allows full control over database operations, including the ability to access internal data. This was discovered by a Wiz security researcher. More than 1 million lines of log strings containing chat history, secret keys, backend details, and other highly sensitive information such as API secrets and operational metadata. And DeepSeek has since plugged the security hole following attempts by some of the researchers to contact them again. Now, again, the rapid adoption of AI services without corresponding security is inherently risky. And so while much of the attention around AI security is focused on futuristic threats, the real danger often comes from basic risks like the accidental exposure of databases. Protecting customer data must remain the top priority for security teams, and it's crucial that security teams work closely with AI engineers to safeguard data and prevent exposure. We know that groups in China are actively working to use methods, including what's known as distillation, to try to replicate advanced US AI models. I think one of the things you're going to see over the next few months is our leading AI companies taking steps to try and prevent distillation, because that would slow down some of the copycat models. And when you comb through the different reports, there's this word, again, keeps coming up, distillation. But what is it and why is it important? Well, in the AI world, distillation refers to the transfer of knowledge from one model to another. So it's a technique designed to transfer knowledge, again, of a large pre-trained model as of the teacher into a smaller model, the student. And it enables the student model to achieve comparable performance to the teacher. Now, this technique allows users to leverage the high quality of larger LLMs while reducing inference costs in a production environment, thanks to the smaller student model. Now, distillation, again, it represents a significant step forward in development in the deployment of LLM at scale. And by transferring the knowledge from a large pre-trained model to a smaller, more efficient model, again, this distillation offers a practical solution to the challenges of deploying large models, such as the high cost and complexity. And this technique not only reduces model size and operational costs, but it enhances the performance of the student models for specific tasks. Just incredible. With all this being said, taking a deep breath, this year is going to be rough for cybersecurity teams. And so again, we're going to continue to talk about how can you help reduce burnout. You've got the always-on nature of many roles in cybersecurity, from the SOC analyst to the incident response to the CISO. Most security folks aren't getting good night's sleep. They typically don't take enough quality time off. And they worry that the next breach is going to get them fired, and they're just coming so fast and furious. So make sure you're talking with your peers, that you're in a peer group, whether that's a local security community, an ISSA, ISACA, some sort of peer group. Make sure you're talking with business leaders, that you're getting buy-in, that you're not alone at your company, that you truly have the support, that you've got champions across the different business units. Make sure you're interacting with your team, you're sharing rewards and recognition and downtime, you're encouraging them to take off, you're giving them the ability to take off. Hopefully you've got some deputy type roles across the organization. You've got some outsourced partners that can come in when your team needs a break. Because as we know, happy staff generally stick around longer, which ultimately helps prevent burnout and better security posture. With that, I hope you have a great week. Be sure and like and subscribe and send us any questions you've got. Thanks.